An object without a story has a very short lifespan. We can all tell stories about the many things we own, and this is especially true of pieces of jewelry. When I wear this pin I inherited from Aunt Betty, or when I wear this hedge apple necklace I made for my mother, or when I wear this mourning necklace that great-grandmother Gum wore, I can tell the stories of these pieces, of the women who wore them and the adventures they had, how the pieces came to me and what I think about them. They all have stories, and because they have stories, they live on. Their stories get told when they're worn, their stories get passed on when the jewelry gets passed on, and therefore these pieces of jewelry have a very long lifespan. Every piece of jewelry I make has a story to tell. This necklace was inspired by a story I wrote. Here's the story and a glimpse of how I created the necklace.
A hedge apple and an artichoke. One afternoon, very early in September, a hedge apple and an artichoke walked into a bar. Now, you would barely notice it if a hedge apple came in with a hedgehog, but this was something very different. An artichoke was a rare sight in this neighborhood. The hedge apple considered ordering an appletini, but worried that other patrons might see that as some form of cannibalism. Instead, he ordered a shot of vodka, knowing there was no connection between apples and potatoes. The artichoke ordered a margarita. While the blue agave plant used to make tequila looked something like an artichoke, she was secure in her knowledge that there was no connection. When the bartender asked if she wanted salt on the glass, she paused for a moment, just a brief moment, and considered asking for a side of butter. Thinking better of it, she declined the salt and made no mention of the butter. As usually happens in these situations, the hedge apple and the artichoke struck up a conversation. The hedge apple was from a hedgerow on the outskirts of town. The artichoke had arrived at the farmer's market down the street the day before and had just been out taking in the local color when she moseyed into the bar. She found him attractive in a rough, outdoorsy way. He had the scrapes and dents of a hedge apple who had hit a few rough spots as he fell from the tree. She, on the other hand, was blemish-free. She had a lovely purple blush on her cheeks, so characteristic of her Italian ancestors. They shared their stories and talked about the adventures that had led them to the bar. Back and forth the conversation went, as if in search of a common interest. How were they alike? Or was this just a case of opposites attracting? Then suddenly they struck upon their common passion, fall. They both loved fall. After all, fall was just spring turned upside down. What was it about fall? The colors, the air, the homecoming parades, the Pendleton jackets, all were wonderful. And what's not to like about those beautiful mums? With each color discussed and each additional drink, they moved methodically towards becoming soulmates. Soon they were planning walks in the woods where they would find lucky buckeyes. By dusk, they had made a decision to hit the road together. They planned to attend a beer fest in Milwaukee, to see the Covered Bridge Festival in Indiana, and maybe, just maybe, to go to Maine to see the leaves. All they needed was someone to take them on these adventures. So, when will you be by to pick them up?